All right, hello everybody, and welcome to Published Work. This is a lecture that gives you instruction on how to become a published writer. My name is Professor Kelsey Stewart, and this is with the Digital Journalism and Public Relations Department at Moorpark College. So, becoming a published writer is an essential step to launching your writing career. How do you become a published writer, though? I have some examples. You can tap into your resources on college. You can join the Moorpark Reporter, which most of you are in, or you can reach out to the English department and contact the Moorpark College Review. So the Moorpark Reporter is obviously media and journalism. We do news stories and cover events, cover breaking news and so forth on campus and in the community. The Moorpark College Review, however, is more of a creative outlet and a creative publication focus. Here's another option. This is what I recommend all of you doing that have not been published yet. So if you have not been published in any mainstream newspaper or magazine or online platform at all, let's go with Medium. It's free. It doesn't it lets everybody be published. So it's just kind of a good thing to have on your resume that you actually have a publication. So you're going to go to Join Medium. You're going to sign up with Google, most likely. Most of you have a Gmail. You're going to hit Select a New Publication. You're going to put your name. Then you're going to put a little description about yourself or the piece that you're writing, and then you can add an image about yourself or whatever your beat is and so forth. This is good to just kind of set up a profile. Another option is to set up an account with Byline. I did this for roughly 12 years, maybe, as a freelance writer or editor. So you can actually pick and choose what stories you want to pick up. You can pitch stories to well-known local editors, or it's just a way of, it's like a middleman for freelance writers. Very, very effective though. So here's my old bio. So I worked with, here on the left-hand side, I worked with all of these editors. Most of them are from the Ventura County Star. Some are from some of the advertorials I wrote for. I did I did eBay, a couple of just random major corporate companies when I was writing advertorials, so I dipped into both PR and journalism. But here's the bio page. You have a headshot, and then you get your profile. You get submitted it for review, and as the more links that you have, the more stories that you've written, the more people that will back you up and support you, kind of like LinkedIn. Then you are able to kind of create your own little network professionalism. So when you go to manage your account, the stories that you've written for, so these are all the different publications that I've written for, and they will go ahead and feature, the work. So this is one of the more recent stories that I covered and I wrote. So these will be in clips down throughout. If you scroll down, this is a screenshot, but if you scroll down, you can kind of go through it. So I would highly recommend joining eByline. It's also free, and it just gets you kind of set up. So once we've done that streamline of the social media accounts where we have the same bio and headshot on all accounts, remember we're doing LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, if we want to make a professional Instagram, as well as Facebook, and whatever other ones you deem necessary for your beat coverage, especially if you have like a Sports Central or Government Central, you might have some sort of other kind of social media platform that you want to have professionalized. But you will use that same bio and that same headshot on your eByline site. And then if you have your own website, capstone plug right there. If you have your own professional website, you will also link your eByline on there. Now, editors want to see your professional website because usually the platforms on eByline, like you guys saw, is not as organized. It's a little harder to get through, but you can still, get the idea of what kind of type of journalist you're getting yourself into when you're seeking one. But your own professional website just kind of gives them an air of gives you an air of professionalism, and editors will be like, oh, well, this is someone that we should justify, for instance, the higher pay for this particular article because they are established, they know what they're doing, they're professional, that sort of thing. So let's get into how we find a good story. So I would go through tons of different calendars when I was seeking out stories. Obviously, it's difficult right now with the quarantine, but Typically during the month of April, the month of March, you're going to see a lot of spring festivals, spring performances. You're going to see March Madness for sports, ideally. A lot of things, baseball season. There's certain times of the season that you know that there's certain things going on. If you're a government beat reporter, then you're going to know that there's primaries still going on. There's elections to be had. There's just a lot of different things going on during the spring season. So you have to kind of know the news around you. You have to know your area. You have to know your local community, what's going on as in regards to your city council member, who is up next for mayor, who is pro tem. You just kind of need to know what's going on no matter what beat you are actually majoring in. So you want to also be aware of conversations around you. If you hear a lot of people complaining about so youth little league, I know, changes their bats almost yearly at this point, and the bats for youth are actually like $200. So imagine a conversation you hear, and there's a ton of parents just kind of, just disgruntled that there is so many different prices, or just every year you have to increase your bat supply with a new bat that costs $200 to $300. So maybe that's a story you want to follow. Why are they monopolizing it, this company, and so forth. You want to also do research on social media and see what kind of trends, what are people doing, think of the recipes that everyone's coming together with, or crafts, or something that they're doing during quarantine. Maybe that's a story. You want to get out a calendar like we talked about. Months designate certain newsworthy events. You also can always run a profile. Profiles are incredibly, I really always enjoyed them because they're kind of fillers. So if you can't find a story and you've had this one profile that you've kind of been working on, touching off and go a little bit, which you can do as a journalist or a freelance writer, you can use that profile during like a dead period. So if there's not much going on, sometimes July is kind of like not as much stories going on because there's not education, there's just a bunch of different lack of stuff. So if you want to run a profile, or if you've been following one, that would be a good time to do the profile story. You could also localize a national story, so even statewide stories. So think of the LA County and how they have a certain amount of coronavirus exposure and cases and so forth. So we could compare with Ventura County, why that is, have local interviews with LA County Sheriff, LA County healthcare providers, as well as Ventura County. You could localize a national story in regards to presidential elections coming up, or any type of elections, as well as you can always, and this is again kind of relevant to profiles, but you could share stories about young people or education. There is always new steps or new programs always happening with education. Education is kind of always changing. There's always a lot of different things going on, whether they're even just events. Young people, specifically actors and athletes, or just kind of select performers, or spelling bee awardees, anybody, young people that stand out, and this is in regards to high school and college. You could be doing stories on them. You could be doing stories on the generation that's missing prom right now. That would be a very interesting story. You could do a story on weather. Are we still in a drought? Supposedly a drought's coming. We've had a ton of rain, so we're not in a drought. Whatever, sides you want to cover. You could cover the economy, which is obviously very interesting right now, and how many people have applied for unemployment, how many people will receive it. If you are, you can't do this last one as of right now, but typically if you have a main boulevard, or if you have just like a downtown area in your town, oftentimes, you can just walk through it. I know downtown Camarillo has adorable little like window kind of advertisements, so they'll still post flyers of what's coming up, and sometimes you wouldn't have even seen them just because it's such a small town, unless you were just walking down these various street, just doing kind of window shopping. So that's something you can do. Obviously not probably right now. Maybe you could drive through town. But those are just little options of just finding a story. You have to be social, you have to be a good listener, and you have to be kind of aware already of the foundation of your town. Like, I know for Thousand Oaks, a big deal is when they put up new constructions that there has to be open space. Open space is a certain amount of like it's like a certain amount of greenery in that kind of balances out the buildings. So they have to have open, nothing interrupting the skyline kind of thing. Open space when they're doing construction. So that plays big into city development and so forth. I know, for instance, Agora and Oak Park, they don't allow pole signs. So you won't see any like long Mickey D's or Burger King pole signs on the freeway because they don't allow that. It's just interesting little like tidbits you'll get to learn as you cover your county, your community, and you start to kind of know people and who makes who are the movers and shakers, who set up the foundations. So start small. It's easier to find niches in smaller communities because it's just easier than starting off in like New York City, or starting off in like a major city, or trying to tackle a national coverage of something. So start out small, make your name known, be professional, and just start kind of asking around.